Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the country. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They don't read the comments. They talk down to us. They say this all the time, that we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, on Twitter. And so I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is amazing, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard in your entire life, also please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. Now, also, please do consider subscribing. I want to build, I feel as though we can truly build something special here, and we're well on our way to doing it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're excited and proud to be part of, something that I think we lack when interacting on the other channels and platforms. And I really think we're well on our way to doing it. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're talking about the Chiefs versus the Dolphins. Nope, I just lied. We are talking about the hiring of the new Patriots head coach, Jerod Mayo. So, this is an interesting hire. I'm going to just click and see what they say before I react, before I kind of share too much of my opinions. I'm just going to go on the record and I think that this is not a good hire, personally. I think it's a dated hire. Nothing that I have anything against him, but I am absolutely positively from the camp of offensive coach, offensive coach, offensive coach, offensive coach. And look how bad their offense was. And so I don't know what their plan is in the in the draft. Are they going to be getting a quarterback? Like what are they doing? So do they actually think that the quarterbacks that they have now are good, but just Bill Belichick couldn't develop them? So I just think that this is a weird hire, and I think it'll just keep them kind of less than a lot of the other teams, right? Like the Patriots needed to get a McDaniel type player, right? A new, young, up and coming, smart, offensive minded, genius head coach. That's what the Patriots needed to do, and that's not what they did.
With the Patriots, Super Bowl 49, he's two-time Pro Bowler. 8 seasons as Patriots linebacker. He's been assistant coach, linebackers coach. It's a little bit odd because Belichick's not big on titles, but he was kind of the coach in waiting. Brew, do you like this hire?
I said a few days ago that I think they should just clean house completely of anything related to Belichick. But I've changed my mind. After looking more into Jerod Mayo, the dude is impressive. Now, I know we'll see. We have no idea whether he'll be a great coach. But as an individual, he was a leader immediately on that team as a rookie. This is a team that's won Super Bowls. And he goes in there as a rookie and becomes a locker room leader almost immediately. The coaches respected him almost immediately. He sat in on coaching meetings when he was a player. He'll have the players' respect. And I think, looking at the type of individual he is, he's obviously his own man, that he will take the best, or at least attempt to take the best of Belichick, but also do his own thing as well. I like to see him go get, like a Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, Ben Johnson, like a hot young offensive coordinator.
Not those specific guys.
Right.
But
Nice. Like the next, whoever the next guy.
But that's my point. That's what you need, though. And then you become reliant on that. If you get the next hotshot offensive coordinator, if he's really, truly legit and worth having, he will be gone within a couple years. He will get signed. Another team will really, really want him. There's always coaching vacancies open. And so they're going to want him. And then that's the problem. That is the problem that you lose when you don't hire an offensive head coach, especially without an established quarterback. And so this is the biggest risk that you have too. It can work a little bit better if you have a true, established, legit, good, bona fide quarterback, right? Like I don't want to just use Patrick Mahomes as an example because obviously he's the top level. So let's just use like a little bit more like they can get the job done quarterbacks, like the Burrows of the world. Even like a Dak Prescott, which I think Burrow is significantly better than Dak Prescott. And we'll just throw Patrick Mahomes in there too, even though that's not fair. But then you can have probably like a defensive head coach because you're able to really work with these quarterbacks who have already kind of established themselves. They've already kind of worked out the kinks in their game, in their game. But we saw Josh Allen struggle when he doesn't have a legit good offensive coordinator like a Brian Daboll. We saw Jalen Hurts struggle without having Shane Steichen. So those things really matter. I think Patrick Mahomes has progressed enough in his career that where like he could lose an offensive coordinator, which obviously he did, and could still, make do because you already know so deeply of what he can and can't do. And he knows, but again, he's greatly benefited from especially having Andy Reid and, probably potentially Bieniemy. So I just think that, that's what then makes the New England so much more of a fragile team, because if they get a new quarterback and now they want to develop him, you got to now trust this new up-and-coming offensive coordinator to get the job done. And if he does a great job and now you have a great quarterback, that offensive coordinator is gone. And now what history shows us that when we have a young quarterback who now has an offensive coordinator that really helps him grow, the moment that coordinator leaves, he struggles. I use Josh Allen as the example. Justin Herbert is an example with Shane Steichen again, and right, I'm pretty positive. And then same thing with Jalen Hurts. That's three great quarterbacks who, as soon as they who got good and got significantly better with their OC, and then as soon as their OC left, they really struggled. It really, really matters. So I'm just not seeing where then that's a good long-term play.
Is like that, and then. I think it'll be good. And I also throw this out. We're seeing players that played, not too long ago come in the league now as head coaches, and they're all doing well.
Succeeding.
D'Amico Ryans, Dan Campbell, Antonio Pierce is probably not going to get that job, but, he acquitted himself well.
He should get that job.
Yeah. I mean, maybe after the dust clears, he will. But he showed that he looks like he's a good coach. I don't count Jeff Saturday just because he had no preparation.
No.
You see, he's been
somebody tweeted that the best hires these days are either nerds or linebackers, and I was like, you know what? I think you might be right. D'Amico Ryans, Antonio Pierce, Jerod Mayo, and then a bunch of guys who came up kind of, on the analytics side, or like the Mike McDaniel type. But go ahead.
Vrabel too.
Vrabel linebacker. Vrabel's a linebacker.
Well.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I think it's good.
Go ahead.
Got fired, so it's an odd one to throw in.
But he is good.
Bunch of guys in the playoffs.
No one thinks he's not a good coach.
So obviously I'm optimistic. I love the idea of having a guy who's won a Super Bowl as a player and then you've groomed him to take over the team. I think it's very similar to what the Yankees did with Joe Torre, where it's like Joe Girardi won 3 World Series. Hey, can you sit here? You know what it's like as a player. Now you know what it's like to manage the team. You take over and then you win another World Series. So I think that's great. I also like this. The different ways in which the Patriots have handled the departure of a legend. Bill Belichick leaves. Kraft says, good news. We've been planning on this for a while. In less than 24 hours, Jerod Mayo is the leader of the team. When Tom Brady left, pushed out, maybe he wanted to leave, his house was for sale, whatever it is. We had no idea what we were doing. We said, Cam Newton. We got Cam Newton. I was shocked. Wow, we got Cam Newton. Nope, that didn't work. Let's draft Mac Jones. That seems like.
Well, they had Garoppolo, but Tom Brady forced him out.
It's going to work, but we don't set him up to succeed, and he turns out to be very fond of throwing the ball to the opponents. So that fell down. And then Belichick, if he wanted to stay, which is rumors, he wanted another crack at jump starting the team. Yeah. So I like the way, it's hard to predict the future, obviously, but I like the way that this has been handled in 20 hours.
That's fair.
All right, so if I just may give the counterpoint a bit quickly here.
Okay.
Listen, I have no reason to believe Jerod Mayo is good, bad, indifferent coach. I did think that the way he was talked about as a player reminded me of the way I was in Houston when D'Amico Ryans was a player, covering the Texans a lifetime ago, it feels like. And people were like, oh, he'll be an NFL head coach one day. And it seems like that's the way people talked about Mayo. And so you are optimistic in that regard, but any first-time head coach, there's questions. My concern, especially after reading this very well-done, long-form Seth Wickersham, Don Van Natta, and Wright Thompson piece on ESPN about the end here, is some of this was the Crafts, most notably Jonathan, replacing the most powerful, experienced voice in the NFL with the youngest, least experienced coach there is. So all that other power falls at the feet of the Krafts, most notably the younger Kraft. And I'm always skeptical of that. And so you have replaced a guy who was your head coach, GM, and de facto team president for 20-some years with all those jobs have to be replaced now. And instead of hiring someone who at least has held one of them for it's first time everything. So it doesn't mean he won't be a good coach. But I do think that this next era of Patriot football is going to be very interesting to watch. How much Robert's involved, how much is.
Yeah. Well, I think the kids are going to get more involved. I don't know too much about them, but I do know that wealthy people like power, and children of wealthy parents like power and want to be able to step up, especially as they see their father get older and older and older. And anyone who has older parents, that's just, you can see that. Even if you're not, super rich and a billionaire. So I can see that. It's a curious hire, Put it this way. If we say that the Patriots are this amazing franchise, right? Home of the GOAT, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, this elite franchise, most Super Bowls, yada, 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 king of the crop, then this is like a bizarre hire, right? Like, you would go for a true big fish. You would go for like a Harbaugh, right? Like, you would get someone who is like, I am here to usher in the new era of greatness. And maybe Mayo ends up being that. Like, I don't want to judge the guy too much. I don't know him, obviously, personally. And, you'd like to see some games. But just like on the surface level, put it this way. I'm going to look at it from me being like an Eagles fan. If the Eagles fired Sirianni and then hired our, linebackers coach, and I don't care what they say about him. If they say, and all the players love him and he's such a leader, that's great. I mean, I expect my coach to be a leader. You better be a leader. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's not interesting to me. Not to say that all coaches can lead, but it's like, okay, and maybe I take that for granted because like I've, always have been, I believe, to be a pretty good leader on the teams that I was ever given the opportunity to. So I'm always just like, it's like it's like you just do it, right? Like, and it's an amazing thing to be able to do. So, but that's why, the more genius, the more analytics, seeing things that other people don't see. That's what makes McVay, Shanahan, Reed, McDaniel, Steichen, these other coaches, they see things that other people don't. That's what makes them special. That's what makes them elite. Could some of them have, do a little bit better at, preaching more physicality and having some more of like the gruff that, say, a linebackers coach can bring, sure, but I just think from a long-term perspective, this is like a weird hire, and I don't think, unless they get really lucky and they get a quarterback that is absolutely amazing and is just so good and just really kind of good fresh out the gate, and you get like a really good offensive coordinator to hone in on that, and you can just kind of really go, sure. Otherwise, I just think the Patriots, will not be able to. This move I don't see how it surpasses Josh Allen and the Bills and even Miami Dolphins. And even next season, if Aaron Rodgers is actually legitimately healthy and can play even just 90% of what he has been in the past, I don't see it. So that's just my viewpoint. Would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Do you think he's a good hire? Who would you want to see as a Patriots head coach? Let me know in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe. I would absolutely love to see you part of this community. It's growing, it's awesome, and it's turning into something truly, truly special. And please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.